What's up, beautiful people? It's your girl, Maya. She's back. It has been a minute. I started YouTube in my 30s and I'm now 42. While I've been gone, failing online, I'm winning in my spiritual life. I'm winning in my family and in my community. For me, it's been a shift of values. Like, I value being online, but it's hard to pour in year after year after year if your foundation is getting wobbly. And I want to say now into my 40s, my career has pivoted. I have a few more labels to add, which include being an author. I finished the book, My Shameless Struggle into Motherhood, even though the book is written and is dedicated to mothers. It's so valuable if you are a woman who just would like to know before it's too late. Even if you're a doula, a midwife, if you are just a person supporting women, a friend, you want to know what your cousins, your family, your friends are going through, how can you support them? This book will give you insights into that, and you can find it on my website, shamelessmaya.com. I'm just grateful because now that my foundation has been built on figuring out who I am, and a lot of that has to do with talking to God, like, God, what do you want me to do? What's the assignment? Because I'm tired of doing things my way. Like, and maybe because I'm 40. Like, I think there's something, that discomfort of being in a position of like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trusting in you, God, to lead the way. It is so reminiscent of when I started this YouTube channel. I had no idea what I was doing. YouTube was not what it was today. And so everything was a step of faith. And I feel like I'm in that place again where I'm literally going by faith. I don't know, but I know you. I know what you wrote. And even when I'm struggling, even when I'm like face planted on the ground, crying, like literally crying, when I cry and I'm praying from that position of weakness, whoa, I want to say God shows up in ways that I'm just like, is that what that scripture meant? Like, I was reading Ezekiel. I was reading Ezekiel 37, and it talks about him being placed in a valley of dry bones. There were very many and they were very dry. I feel like Ezekiel. I'm in a valley of nothingness, and it feels very dry, and it feels like there are very many dead bones. But then God says, prophesy, son of man. Prophesy and speak to the wind. Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe that these dead bones may live. My goodness, when I am crying while reading the Bible, it's like, man, that's a whole other video. Like, how am I doing my spiritual workout? Because for the things that are coming, it's like blessings and curses. Like, I'm excited for what's happening, but I'm also like getting those gains, those spiritual gains in. Also, I did a podcast with Crystal Hurst, and she's this amazing woman. She's a woman of God, and she has a podcast called The Sister Circle, and she's so inspiring. Definitely highly recommend her show. Like, for me, I am the older sister. I never had an older sister. I never had a mentor. Oh, you too, huh? So she has that energy. And she's a grandmother. She's not that much older than me. But definitely check her out. And so I did a really inspiring podcast interview there. I made the cover of the local newspaper, sharing my journey as a mother. I've already shared this before. I became a certified postpartum doula. I have a passion, one, for helping people. I have a passion for helping women, and I have a deep passion for helping mothers. When I haven't been here, I have been getting involved in my community. And I share some of that on my YouTube channel with my husband, Max and Maya Living. Make sure you check it out. I've just been shifting. There's a lot of shift. There's a lot of pivoting. And while living in, Vancouver, I'm born and raised in Toronto. Let's just get that straight. I'm born and raised in Toronto, Canada. I am American, Filipino, Canadian. I moved to Vancouver. I moved to New York. I moved to Los Angeles. And for all of these moves, I was looking and seeking for me and filling my cup. Like, what opportunities can I get from this city? And that's, I guess, because these are big cities. I was trying to take, because they're like, eat or be eaten, especially in New York, my goodness. But now, in my 40s, I so happened to move to the countryside of Sweden. 3 years in, maybe I want to even say 1 or 2 years in, I started thinking, okay, what can I bring to this community? So I live in a very small town. I live on the countryside, so there's like not a whole lot of people here. The smallest town, Åtorp, is 15 minutes from here. They had a market that happens every year in the fall. And I remember the last time I went, I brought my camera with me because I'm like, I just want to give. I want to like help. And I know how to take photos and video, so let me just take photos and video. I did that. I posted them online and I added it on a Facebook group because I know people love photos. They love having those moments. And so I did that last year. And then this year, I was like jokingly telling Max, like, I would love to do the kids' hair at a festival, like just having a little tiny booth. It was just kind of like Max told someone and they're like, yes, you should do it. And they started talking. And so I ended up having a hair booth for this year's festival. And it was so much fun. It was so cute. These little girls, they were just so happy. They were so happy to have their hair braided with glitter and just feel so beautiful. And I was just overjoyed to do something I enjoy. I've been braiding hair since high school. It was something I did on all my cousins. And so to do that with Saga and all her friends, it really like, it melts my heart. Oh my gosh. I love toddlers. Babies, birds. Toddlers are where it's at. I had so much fun. So I share all of this on my channel with my husband. And even pouring into our marriage, like everything was shifting. Moving out here, 40s, everything is shifting. And it's hard to keep building when the foundation wasn't set. And so this entire year, I want to say these past 2 years have been a lot of me just like pivoting. And pivoting for me isn't easy. Like when I commit, I really want to commit. I don't want to do something half-hearted. So all of that takes time. But I really want to say what took a lot of time also, because it all takes time, was just defining who I am. And I've never enjoyed defining who I am. Because I'm like an artist and I'm like all of these things and I'm a multi-creative dimensional being. It's just like, okay, girl, but what does that mean? So on my website, I had to get clear on what is my mission. My mission now is to empower women to overcome fear through faith and create shamelessly with God. I started my YouTube channel while I was going through divorce, while I was reading the Bible. Everything was just like together and forward. Suffering isn't for nothing. And there are a lot of lessons that I learned in this time. And I feel like I was able to learn the lessons and hear them because I don't have as much noise as I had while living in the city. Like, I can see myself a little bit more clearly. I can see God a little bit more clearly. And yeah, I literally have loads of videos I could do because there's just so many lessons. Like every day it's like revelation, oh my gosh. So if you're still alive, you are winning. I had this attitude when I moved out here to Sweden that like, I figured it out, guys. I don't need another self-help book. I've read quite a few. This life is very comfortable. I'm just gonna sit back and call it a day. And then I started to question myself, which I do. That's a good thing. I questioned myself and I questioned God. Because if this is how I feel and I'm only 40, why was I designed to live, like if I base it on my family, 80 plus years? Like that means I still have half of my life, hopefully, ahead of me. And that's when I started to realize life isn't about being comfortable, Maya. It's not about easy living for you. It's about helping others. And you can't be much help if you are struggling. So once you get out of the struggle, help as many as you can. So yeah, so some lessons that I've learned this season is shifting priorities. I, in my 30s, focused a lot on me. In my defense, I was struggling. I was going through divorce. I was like in New York, just trying to figure it out. I still am trying to figure it out. How can you view this through the lens of God? And so if I view it through my lens, for example, I'll just use an example more recently. I did this hair stand at a local town market. Now the first half of the day was wet, cold, and raining. I was so miserable. I'm like, why am I here? I had an existential crisis of like, wow, I literally moved into the middle of nowhere to amount to nothing and do nothing because I'm standing here doing nothing. And I was like, boo-hoo, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Try to look at people the way God sees people. And I just couldn't help but remember his words that I read in the Bible. And it says, like, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Like, he loves us so much that he sent his son into the world, not to condemn the world, but to redeem the world. Like, God loves you so much that he allowed his son to be crucified for you so you can have life. That I can live for eternity, not just in this flesh body, but life continues after. And when I started to like look at people the way God was looking at people, it's just like God views us with power, beauty, dominion, authority, and then some. And I'm viewing people like, oh, we got status. Like, where do you live? What car do you drive? What do you look like? What are you wearing? Did you brush your teeth or your hair today? Like, it's beautiful when you can see the way, try to see the way God sees, because I am quite certain I don't do it justice, but at least I was able to see beauty in people. And I started to pray. I started to pray over people because you just never know what people are going through. And in doing that, the day got a little bit warmer. The sun started to come out. And then Saga's friends started to come by and get their hair did. And it happened, though, because I shifted my perspective. I was able to shift away from these mosquitoes. I was able to shift my perspective and just try to look at the glass full, not even half full, full. Also, it is harvest season, it's fall, and again, when you shift your perspective, honestly, do yourself a favor and just read the Bible. Don't believe anything, just read it, question it, write your questions down. But like, I can't help but see that God is the God of abundance. Our neighbor has all these apple and pear trees going to their home and they're not there. And so she told us to go and pick the apples and pears because there's so many. And I was like, what are all those things on the ground? Because there was like all this white stuff, and I got closer and it was all the fruit that had fallen. And I'm like, one seed produces one tree, and that one tree produces hundreds, thousands, millions of fruit. Like, and there's just not enough mouths to feed with that fruit tree. And like one would have been enough, but she had like, I don't know, 10 maybe, let's just say 5, and like there was more than that. We are giving God discredit when we think there's not enough. Like we serve a God of the overflow, a God of abundance. And when you can make that shift by reading things like the Bible, it just, when you're feeling low, because I still feel low, I still have bad days, I still have moments where I'm like overcome by, negative thoughts and stuff. I'm constantly reminded, like, right, Maya, try to shift your perspective and see things through God's lens, which is love, outpouring, overflow. But the older you get, the more I'm more curious about God and life after this than I am about winning. God is so just and so fair, and he's such for lack of a better word, such a gentleman that he'll never push himself onto people. So that's why I feel like I'm pursuing him, because I don't have enough blind faith to just accept it. Like I need to know. And I think there is something beautiful about that, because when you are dating someone or even married to someone, I think what's foundational to a relationship is friendship. And in friendship, there's curiosity. Even being a creative or a child, like the questions are just endless. Like I'm constantly asking questions, and I'm so grateful for that childlike curiosity because I want to know. I need to know personally. And I think that that's what has kept my youth flowing. Okay, so that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know, what do you want to know? I'm going to share my spiritual workout routine because it's a lot. And I never imagined I would be here in a year. Like I remember on my birthday turning 42, I just wanted to pray longer than 2 minutes, 5 minutes. And now I could pray like 2 hours if I had the time. So that's why I wake up super early, so I can pray and worship and read the Bible, which is something I never thought possible. So yeah, just let me know in the comments what you want to see from me, and remember to be shameless, and I'll see you in the next video.